This is a meaning of new politics. People of goodwill in the larger community must support the Black man in this effort. The final phase of our national sickness is the disease of militarism. Nothing more clearly demonstrates our nation's abuse of military power than our tragic adventure in Vietnam. This war has played havoc with the destiny of the entire world. It has torn up the Geneva Agreement. It has seriously impaired the United Nations. It has exacerbated the hatred between continents and, worse still, between races. It has frustrated our development of at home, telling our own underprivileged citizens that we place insatiable military demands above their most critical needs. It has greatly contributed to the forces of reaction in America and strengthened the military-industrial complex. And it has practically destroyed Vietnam and left thousands of American and Vietnamese youth maimed and mutilated, and expose the whole world to the risk of nuclear warfare. Above all, the war in Vietnam has revealed what Senator Fulbright calls our nation's arrogance of power. We are arrogant in professing to be concerned about the freedom of foreign nations while not setting our own house in order. Many of our senators and congressmen vote joyously to appropriate billions of dollars for the war in Vietnam. Many of these same senators and congressmen vote loudly against the fair housing bill to make it possible for a Negro veteran of Vietnam to purchase
a Caribbean party, the entire region together in one big splashdown fiesta. I say we jamming to the sounds of the Caribbean, the grooving, to calypso and the funk. Tango Yairi is one love, so feel free, for we are the people of the Caribbean, showing that we don't want no basin plan. I say we jam to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving to calypso. Together. So should every leader, for we are one people, one destination. So let us move on without hesitation. I say we jamming to the songs of the Caribbean, we grooving Tu calypso antigua.
Yeah. Mm.
Tobago, and it's going to be a grand show. Africa Caribbean, Colorado mix up, and Taco jam up, we going non-stop. I say we jamming to the sound of the Caribbean, we grooving to Calypso and hip hop.
President, good morning. Good morning to Mr. Jensen Joseph and Mr. Jerry Hopkins, our Consul General of Toronto. Welcome to Caribbean Connections on GEM FM. How you doing, gentlemen? You almost like we're
Fine,
keeping the
thanks.
same host, Consul General.
Fine, thanks.
That's
Fine,
the last
thanks.
man I see last night, the first man I see this morning. Again.
Is that good or bad? I think it's good.
It's a
It
good
means
thing.
that
We had a good time.
oh yes.
I think
Oh,
you need to miss the last part last night. You know, you should have been there last night to enjoy some of the nice chicken wings and and the Marley and stuff last night.
Yes, yes. So
gentlemen,
you guys probably without me last night.
you didn't get the email, I guess, right?
You did not see the memo. But to our viewers as well, I want to say a pleasant good morning,
Yes.
wherever they are in the on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good morning to each and every one, young and old.
Yes, very much. All right. So this morning, well, I want to get in, Mr. Consul General. I want to probably elaborate more on you now as the new Consul General, first time on Gem FM, in that capacity to talk about the independence, the 50th anniversary. But just give a little more insight into you and what your mission is here in Toronto, so people will know who Jerry Hopkins really is, who didn't know, and still people still know who you are yet in Toronto. It's still fresh. I mean, you're just up to your knees, not to your neighbor's trinket. So
Okay,
about you.
okay. Well, Jerry Hopkins, obviously, folks know I'm Grenadian. I lived in New York for a while. My background and training is in law, media, leadership, small business development. I've done a bit in education as well. I'm a certified conflict resolution specialist, and I've done media, print, as well as radio. And I've done campaigns and public relations, artist management, event planning. So I have a wide array of experience in terms of background. I also previously served as aide to a former prime minister, then from 2008 to 2013, Tillman Thomas, and I served with him from 2010 to 2013. So that's some of the experience. I don't have to list my whole resume.
No.
Just to give folks an idea of where I'm coming from. I last lived in New York, but I'm always back and forth in Grenada. And I've been installed as of September of 2023. Tempted to say this year. We're in a new year as of September of 2023. And the focus is people and engagement. One of the first major activities I had was dubbed Meet, Greet, and Engage for Continuity and Transformation. I think it is important that we build on what we have accomplished in the past and recognize those who helped us, who have paved the way, and we build on that and we transform and we do what we need to do in the now to prepare for the future. And that's what I'm about. Consular services will continue, of course, on one prong. The passport renewals, the applications, the naturalization, the authentication of documents, the procurement of documents from capital, from Grenada. All of that is continuing, as well as visa applications for those who require visas to enter Grenada. But in addition to all of the paperwork, there would be an aggressive and active engagement of the community, meeting the leadership of the community or community leaders in business, in community not-for-profit organizations, in politics, in media, making a deliberate effort to meet all of our community leaders so that they can join in with us to implement the kind of changes we need. And the other areas of service, because this job for me is a job of service. The other areas beyond consular services is the diplomatic services, where I meet and engage other diplomats, consuls general, as well as ambassadors. I work with them to ensure that we build good relationships. We participate in the activities here that bring us together, closer together, so that we can tap into the potential and the opportunities that may exist for Grenada, so that we can bring home the bacon, so to speak, coming from these relationships that we build. Later on in the interview, I will share our most recent encounter like that could be a good fruit for Grenada. A gentleman who's a senator here in Canada, who's currently in Grenada, that I engaged here in Canada, who can really help us in Grenada, especially in fisheries, as well as in our mental health capacity. Also, the third aspect of my service here is to push for development projects, that the agenda of transformation, to ensure that we have more trade between Grenada and the diaspora, especially Canada. I would like to see more Grenadian products on the shelves of Canadian retail outlets. And so we're going to do all that we need to do to secure that. I want to see more exportation of Grenadian products here. I also would love to see and to do what it takes to see an increase in investment by Grenadians in the Grenadian economy. You do not need to be a millionaire or billionaire to be an investor in Grenada. As I've been pointing out to people, there are a lot of low-hanging fruits. It could be just working with a farmer who needs a few $1,000s to expand in one way or another. Someone who is in value addition, processing a product, who needs a new machine and would like to partner with someone. Of course, you're going to do it properly. It's going to be a written agreement. You're going to establish what the inputs are and what the expectations are. It will be clearly spelled out and done properly so we don't have problems down the road. But there are lots of opportunities where Grenadians in the diaspora can invest in the productive sector of Grenada. So we'll have more exports, more products to export, and not simply continue to be a consumer society. And so that is something I'll be encouraging. And already is bearing fruit. Folks have been coming forward. Every time someone comes to the consulate, I make sure they get information about GIDC. That is a Grenada Investment Development Corporation. They can walk you through the process, tell you what the concessions are, what the incentives are, where to get started, how to get started in investing in Grenada. And so if you come into the consulate now, you will see a new banner, a stand-up, pull-up banner, and it's all about the GIDC and how to invest in Grenada. And at every event, every public event that we sponsor going forward, there will be a GIDC banner or booth or table with information about how to invest in Grenada. It's not just about tourism. Tourism is so much dependent on external factors. We can't just simply depend on tourism. We have to invest in our productive sector, and investment by Grenadians in the diaspora, as well as by friends of Grenada in the diaspora, is very important, and you would see it high on the agenda. So it's consular services, diplomacy, development. That's where it's going.
Beautiful, beautiful. Loving this. And we will go back deeper into this a little bit afterward. But Mr. Jensen Joseph, I would like you to go ahead and introduce yourself to the world again, and your portfolio as well. So people know who we're talking to, and what we're talking about here today. It's a huge thing, but we could do good with it today. All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John, and thank you, CCETG, for being here. And to the GMFM family, happy New Year, season greetings to all. My name is Unison Joseph, the current president of the Grenada Association Toronto. I also hold the cap, or wear the cap, of being the president of the Grenada Disaster Preparedness Toronto, where we seek to alleviate some of the impacts of climate change and disaster upon Grenada. As recently you're seeing the flooding and different aspects. So we look at ways how we could mitigate some of those impacts on locals in Grenada. So that's my cap. We are also part of the GIPC, which is the Grenada Independence Planning Committee. I've been part of GIPC for the last 7 years and continuing. And it's always been a great addition to have you, John. And enough can be said of GMFM, who provide that platform for us to engage the community. So on behalf of GIPC, the Grenada Association, and the Grenada Disaster Preparedness, I'd like to say thank you for allowing us the opportunity.
Welcome.
As always.
Certainly.
Yes. All right. So today, our independence 50th anniversary is right around the corner, right up in our faces right now. And from the Toronto arm of the celebration, the Consul General and Mr. Jensen Joseph is here. And this morning we're gonna talk about the events coming up, and I want you guys to be very free. There's no binding here, just free to talk about what's happening and how we get people engagement and the different activities that will be taking place in Toronto as it relates to the 50th anniversary of our independence. So, and who want to go first to give us an update of where we are and what's happening, what the first event and where it's going to will be taking place, and how a person could get involved in the overall scheme of things, getting the celebration to its maximum. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll just give an overview, and Unison, who plays an integral, pivotal role in the planning of all of that we are doing, would get into some of the nitty-gritty details of some of it in terms of cost and nature of activities and so on. But before I get into Toronto, I would like folks to know that the consulate here in Toronto is not just for Toronto. We serve all of Canada. And so I reached out to the various other jurisdictions, the folks in BC, the folks in Montreal, and Vancouver, Calgary. And I just wanted to let folks know that there are other activities happening. For example, in Montreal, on February 4th, they have a church service. Then on February 17th, they have a gala. And then on March 2nd, they have what they're dubbing Arts, Culture, and Tea Extravaganza. So that's the folks in Miss Swan and Brother Cameron and Gemma Rayburn and all the others there. Also, the folks in Montreal have organized what they're calling Grenada, celebrating Grenada's Big 50. A group of them are traveling to Grenada although they're coming to Toronto to head to Grenada, but they're coming from Montreal, and they'll be returning on February 11th. And they'll be having a splashdown. They're celebrating the independence. It's an activity, it's an excursion trip, they're calling it. And the folks in BC also have activities planned. If there's anyone listening, they reach out to Miss Monifa Allende and the other leaders of the community. Recently, they had a changing of the guard in the organization that represents Grenadians over there in British Columbia. So, become familiar, be a part of what's happening there if you're over there. You don't have to be in Grenada or Toronto to celebrate your independence. We celebrate wherever we are. So I just wanted to give that overview. And later on in the show, I would like to share the calendar of activities in Grenada. But for now, let's deal with home. We have a great lineup of activities. Generally, they are on February 4th. That's a Sunday. We have an interfaith Thanksgiving service, and that will be held at the Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church, 65 Grand Marshall Drive, Scarborough, Ontario. And it really will be interfaith. We have a Catholic priest. We have 2 Pentecostal pastors. We have at least 2 leaders of the pastors of the Seventh-day Adventist denomination, and we also have an imam of the Islamic faith. So it's going to be indeed an interfaith service, and following that we'll have a reception. That's on February 4th, right here just outside of Toronto, in Scarborough, Ontario. Then on the 7th, we have the flag raising ceremony. It's happening at the Toronto City Hall, 100 Queen Street. And we invite folks to come out and raise the flag with us. And we know it might be cold. We'll be on the roof of City Hall, the parking area there. But it's going to be a special experience. And we have other consular officials, diplomats would be joining us as well. Then we have the Independence Gala. And Unison will really fill us in on that one in a bit. That's happening at Parkview Manor, 55 Barber Green Road, Toronto. And I really want to commend Unison and the other members of his team who have been doing an excellent job pulling all the details together to make sure that we have a fine gala befitting of a golden jubilee. It will be a special one indeed. And then on the 18th of February, we have Showcase Grenada, and that's happening from 1 p.m. By the way, the gala begins around 6 p.m. The Showcase Grenada is on February 18th from 1 p.m. at the Jamaican Canadian Center over there, 995 Arrow Road, North York. We must say thank you to our Jamaican sisters and brothers for always allowing us to use that space. It's a great space. I know Unison would tell you that one day we'll have our own as well. And we planning and building towards that. But in the meantime, we share the space of our Jamaican sisters and brothers over there, 995 Arrow Road, North York. And that's the Showcase Grenada. And the details on that, Unison would also fill us in. It's an exposition of all things Grenadian of sorts. And beyond the 18th of February, later on in the year, we'll have more activities. We'll we'll inform the public of that later on as we go along. Eunice would also tell us that about some more details about the lighting of Niagara Falls. That's also happening on February 7th. I forgot to mention that earlier. The colors of the Grenadian flag will be radiating from the waters of Niagara Falls on February 7th. We want to plan a bus trip for that. So we will fill the public in on details of that, those who would like to join us late that evening for the lighting of the Niagara Falls and the colors of Grenada. And we will also be lighting the clock at Brampton, in Brampton City, the city hall there. We'll also be lighting that clock. Eunice will also fill us in with some more details on that. So to the public, to all listening, especially those who live in Toronto and in the adjoining area and the surrounding area, Scarborough, Brampton, all of the areas here in Ontario, we encourage you to participate in these activities, and we'll get more into the details of these activities as we proceed. Unison?
Yes. Thank you, CG. I think you give Gem FM the breaking news, the big one, the lighting of the Niagara Falls.
Oh, that would be great.
That'd be great. It goes to show the team commitment to celebrating our golden jubilee. It's 50, so this year we tend to do a little bit more to celebrate the achievement. You know, Grenada and the OECS have been the first to gain independence. So we normally set the trend. You spoke of the flag raising ceremony at City Hall. Although it is cold in the year, Grenada always seems to have the most tendency on that day. That's why they put us on the...
Unison, I understand we were the first. Grenada was the first to do that.
Yes, yes, we're trailblazers. Where we lead, other people follow. Right? So,
yes.
So yes, we this year we are asking people to really come out and celebrate with us. All the different events. The church service, as you indicated, will be on the 4th. This is something that we really see as significant. This is the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and as always, we try to be interfaith. So, which is really touching, and it shows that we in Grenada embodies the theme of the independence: one people, one journey, one future. We try not to leave anyone behind. We are inclusive of everyone. So, not because you're not born in Grenada, you're still Grenadian. You're friends of Grenada. You're Grenadian by association, by boat, or by boat. It doesn't matter how you get here. We all share. So that is something that we really embodies. And the thing is, when you hear the team, one people, it shows that a commitment for us to move in a singular, not in silos, but in a singular movement towards achieving whatever we set our mind out to achieve. So coming forward, we're looking at the Grenadian diaspora to really come forward. And it's not too late. And I think that is something we have to improve on different organizations and different people in diaspora to give of your service. Volunteerism, come and be part of the conversation. We encourage people to come and join the GIPC, join the Grenada Association, join different associations. This is what we do. This is what make Grenada stands out above the rest. Our ability to come together when it matters, not just when it matters, but helping, putting our hands out there. So this is our 50, and we're asking everyone in the diaspora to really come out and set out. One of the things that we're looking to do is when we go to Niagara Falls to have that bus trip, trying to keep the cost as low as all as breakfast, brunch, $25. It's a little bit more, but you're right. So we're going to keep it low. So anybody that wishing to go down and look at the lighting of the fall and send, if you're not going to be there or you can't be there for some reason, we have a link that we could provide so you could view it from home as well and send it to your friends and family, right? So we're using the power of social media, and I know Gem FM is always good to help us with that platform. So we'll be providing the link, right, and the counseling. So that is something that we really trying to get the community involved. And then this year the gala, well, the gala is our premier event. And this year is really going to showcase Grenada culture, Grenada art, coming together of different organizations and committees. So we exploded. This year we try to keep it as low as possible. Of course, the rising cost of everything goes up. Last year it was $100. This year we try to keep it as low as possible while giving you a bigger bang for your buck. So this year the early bird is $125 before January 15th. After January 15th, it's going to be $135. So you save an extra $10, $5 if you come as a couple. If you come as a single, $5 right? But savings is savings in this time. Savings is savings. And then we have our showcase, Grenada. We keep it on the family day event. And why we always try to keep it on family day, we try to keep families together. Grenadians, we like to socialize. We like to congregate, and family day in Canada is a significant day. So we try to keep the family together, the family dynamics of the Grenadians, and it's low cost. We charge $2 for under 13 and $5 above. So you see, it's family affordable to come in and enjoy this. And then we have different aspects of our culture. We have children's face painting, children's activity. And this year, in the past, we had the children off to the side in a little room doing the face painting. This year, we incorporate, I put to the committee, that the children will be part of the main program. So we're encouraging the parents to bring the children in early. The children will be incorporated in everything that we do this year. Not just that event, but going forward. We have different programs designed for children of first, second, and third generation, or even children of friends of Grenada. So we really, because the children are our future. And if we don't build on the future now, we're gonna be in for some declining in the groups. If you see some of the groups, we are young at 75. So we want to maintain that group tradition and bring in our youth at a very early age.
And of course, Unison, that ensures the intergenerational transfer of our heritage or cultural norms and expressions. So it's very important, and I love the emphasis that you are giving on that. Unison, if you don't mind, also mention some of the other cultural features that we're going to have at that event, besides the youth activities.
At the showcase.
Yeah.
So the showcase, we're going to have our Moko Jumbies, short knees, big drum dancing. Anastasia and her crew always comes out. We have the Karikou dancers. With the Karikou dancers, will be telling a story. I think it's something that you shouldn't miss. Karikou is recognized in the African diaspora as one of the countries outside of Africa that maintain that unique aspect of African folk dancing and folk traditions. Yes. A matter of fact, they go to Karikou every year and celebrate that. So we're bringing that aspect also to the Showcase Grenada. But just later on in the year, we have a bigger program plan, right? We have what we call Expo, Grenada Expo Toronto 2024.
Okay.
And there we will really showcase bigger space, of course, because the JCA kind of limits us to what we could do and keep it into a compressed time. So Showcase Grenada will really focus on our culinary arts, our flora, or just everything indigenous of Grenada.
All right.
Right.
So the other thing, if you don't mind, Unison, share some details about how folks can get tickets for the ball. Whether, for example, they can get at the consulate, they can stop by at 90 Eglinton Avenue East, Suite 605 on the 6th floor to get tickets there. But there are other other means of obtaining tickets. If you don't mind, Unison, tell them some of the folks that can connect with or numbers they can call to obtain tickets, please.
Yes. So the number for the gala, you could get it, the GAT, you could contact the Greater Toronto Association, as well as myself. My phone number is 416-856-3663. And any other members, the GMFM, contact John. He'll pass on the information. We have a number. The numbers are eluding me now as I think, but yes, I could get you could call me at that same number, 416-856-3663.
And they can also call this number, 647-594-7210. Again, 647-594-7210. And that's the cell number of yours truly, Consul General Jerry Hopkins.
Great.
All right, so here we have it. We got the information. One thing, people often complain about the distance and stuff like that, some activities and the pricing and stuff. I want to make that clear. Help me here, because we want to let people know that this is 50 years, right, of our celebration of independence. And it would be a really good thing to come on out and be part of the celebration this year, to celebrate the true, authentic Grenadian as we are, and being proud again of our heritage. And I think that people should be more inclined to participate than in it. And just, the price, don't worry about the price, but let us do it together as Grenadian 50 years. Wherever you are, in the wheelchair, wherever you are, come on out, get your flag, get your colors, and be part of this celebration this year, because there's a lot of effort being put into this activity, not only in Toronto, but in Grenada and other parts of the diaspora as well. And I want to encourage all of us to be part and parcel in any capacity, wherever if we need volunteers, again, Mr. Unison, if we need volunteers, let people know who they could call and ask for help, who they want to contribute to do anything. Because sometimes people want to contribute, they don't know who to and how to go about doing that. So if there's any area that you need volunteers for the activities that is coming up, that we could tap into the resources that are available to us.
Yes, so Showcase Grenada is where we need a lot of volunteers, a lot of hands on deck. That day, this day, we have in the past close to 700 persons in attendance at the GCA. So we need help in kitchen, serving area, cleaning. And again, you could contact the Grenada Consulate. Or you contact myself, once again, the phone number 416-856-3663, and we'll direct you to the appropriate person, the coordinator. We have a volunteer coordinator to streamline the process.
All right. So is there a volunteer coordinator phone number? So person to call?
It's Don Francois, former CV Consul General. Okay. But I don't have the number offhand. I know the CG has it.
Yeah, well, I can give the number for the consulate general number, and that number there, the office, is 416-595-1343, 416-595-1343. And I must commend our former Honorary Consul General, Don Francois, has remained active with us at GIPC, and she's helping in a lot of different areas. And one of the responsibilities that she has is helping to coordinate the volunteers for the showcase and other activities. So I'm not at liberty to share a particular number for her at this moment. However, if you call this number and leave a message for her, she will certainly get it if you would like to volunteer. Again, 416-595-1343. And if you call the number I gave earlier, the 647-594-7210 number, I will take a message as well. And Unison will do likewise, calling him at the number that he shared. And I'm sure your brother here, Sheriff Callis, the man himself, I'm sure you would also wouldn't mind passing on a message from anyone calling us. While I'm on the mic, there's something else I did mention that, you know, we are proud of all that we are doing wherever we are as Grenadians and Friends of Grenada. And I know I'm realistic. I know that some of you who are listening may not be in Toronto for the events that we planned. You might be in Grenada, and some of you already have tickets for Grenada. So I wanted to take a minute just to quickly run through the calendar of activities, the elaborate calendar of activities scheduled for those who are in Grenada or relatives, family members in Grenada, and those who are going to be visiting Grenada. In January, it begins on the 3rd. And by the way, this calendar is going to be expanded, but this is as of now. On the 3rd of January, there's the unveiling of the CARICOM roundabout. That happened already. Some of you may have seen the link on social media. You can go to GIS to see that. You would also see it on the page of the consulate, the Consulate General of Grenada and Toronto page. That was a great activity, and it was very historical. And the presenters, the panel was very, very informative. Take a look at that if you haven't seen it. The unveiling of the CARICOM roundabout. And then on the 19th of January, we have the Youth Leadership Summit. It's an inspiring event that unites the nation's brightest young minds for collaborative problem solving, focusing on innovative solutions to Grenada's challenges. And then on the 20th of January, we have the Independence Calypso Monarch semifinals. That will be a great one. I know you, all of us here, we love Calypso, so I know we'll be checking that out, although we are here in Toronto. And then on the 21st of January, we have Gospel Fusion, a 50th anniversary gospel concert. That's happening also in Grenada. Then on the 27th, we have Independence Calypso Monarch finals. So on the 20th, we have the semifinals, and then the 27th, we have the finals. And by the way, just to mention, New York also has a competition, an Independence Calypso competition that's happening in New York. I don't have the date in front of me, but that is something that will be happening as well. And I'm sure it will be streamed, so something we can take in as well. Then on the 20th of January, we have the Round the Island Flag Relay and Parish Sports. Then on the 30th of January, we have the launch of the 50th Independence Historical and Art Exhibition. Then on the 2nd of February, we have All Things Grenada, the 50th Independence Expo. Well, we're going to be giving them a good arrival here in Canada when we have our expo later on in the year. Then on the 2nd of February also, we have Up From Here, a music concert. Folks, if you love the video, Up, that special video with the theme song of the Independence, you will not want to miss this concert. It will be an unforgettable night of rhythm and melodies at Up From Here, the music concert, a spectacular musical celebration in honor of Grenada's 50th anniversary of independence. Then on the 3rd of February, we have the Governor General Gala cocktail and dance. And then on the 4th of February also, we have Grenada's 50th anniversary Independence Ecumenical Church Service. That's while we having ours here in Toronto, there will be one in Grenada. Also, the 4th of February, the St. Paul's Independence Extravaganza is happening. And then on the 5th of February, we have the Grenada Beyond 50, a vision for the future. This will be our Prime Minister, Honorable Dickon Mitchell, will give a public presentation on the vision for Grenada's growth and prosperity over the next 25 years. And then on the 6th of February, we have National Colors Day. Our red, green, and gold colors of Grenada will be on full display across the Tri-Island states, and I would add across the diaspora as well. Everyone is encouraged to wear the national colors with pride on the 6th of February, National Colors Day. Then also on the 6th, we have the 50th anniversary of independence Foreign Ministers Reception. The Foreign Affairs Minister will host a cocktail reception for specially invited guests and visiting dignitaries from various countries. And then on the 7th of February, the day, The Golden Jubilee celebration with the complete with military parade and cultural show will radiate all of Grenada. And then on the 8th of February, of course, that happens at the National Stadium. I mean, everyone knows that. That's where it's going to be, at our biggest venue on island. And then on the 8th of February, we have Folk in the Thong, and an enchanting traditional evening under the stars. The carnage will be transformed with the magic of music, dance, poetry, drumming, and folklore. And we are asking folks to come dressed in your folk outfits or national colors and enjoy a cool tropical night. Folks, this is reminiscent of Water Parade. Those of you who are old enough, I was just a kid when Uncle Gary used to have Water Parade. But just the same way that the carnage became a place of magic, so too we will try to reenact and restage and reminisce and celebrate in like manner. Folk in the Tongue, a special celebration on the carnage, 8th of February. And then on the 10th of February, we have Pan 50 and on Food Fest, an exciting explosion of pure steel pan music and Grenadian cuisine on our picturesque carnage. That also happens on the carnage. So it's a lot, and more will be added. And if you didn't catch all of that, you can go to the website, Grenada 50 .gd, and you would find all of the details there, as well as other details. If you, for example, you're part of an organization and you like to have an activity to celebrate our independence, you can register your activity on that site, or you can call me if you're in Toronto. Call me at the consulate. Call us at the consulate. Again, the number 416-595-1343. Call that number and let us know what activity you would like to have. And it might be an activity that can be endorsed by the National Organizing Committee in Grenada, and we can include it on the calendar of activities as we celebrate inclusively our Golden Jubilee of Independence.
I have a question, and it arises out of someone questioning here. Is there any? I know that we're showcasing. Is there any highlights to recognize Sir Eric Matthew Gary on the independence of Grenada and his contribution to that? Is there any activity?
Well, listen, I would say none of the events will not highlight and celebrate him, especially the events on island. For example, when the Prime Minister speaks at the stadium on February 7th, you have begun to hear mention and recognition of the former Prime Minister, who many consider to be the father or godfather of independence. Credit was given when we launched this year of activities on the carnage to Sir Eric. I mean, almost all of the Prime Minister's speech was about Sir Eric. If you recall. So the recognition that's due is being given, and I'm sure folks who have been observing and listening and paying attention will be fully aware of that. And but might I add, when we speak about independence and what it is, first of all, independence is a process. Yes, we can decide our own foreign affairs, who we will have foreign relations with. We have our own flag, we have our own anthem, we have our own parliament as an independent nation. But we are not yet fully independent in the sense that, in terms of our economy and rightfully having our heroes celebrated and all of that. So it's a process, and we are moving the needle further towards having complete independence. And let's not forget that independence is it's a reclamation. The people, indigenous people who lived on Grenada, were free until the Europeans got there, until colonization took their freedom away from them and colonized them. So we are reclaiming that. And our slaves who rebelled on the plantations, or all of those who rebelled, including Fredon and the many others, T.A. Marichaud, all the ones who came before Gary, who fought for freedom and independence, we have to credit them too for what we accomplished in 1974. It didn't just all of a sudden happen in 74. It was a process. It started on the plantations with the slaves who rebelled, the ones who ran away, the ones who set plantations on fire, the ones who lived like the Maroons, the ones who fought incrementally brought us closer to independence. There is Donovan, who was the editor of the paper that T.A. Marichaud worked for before he had his own paper. He should also be recognized as an architect, as one who fought for and helped us to move us closer to independence. So we are recognizing all the heroes, all the ones who took us to the point of independence. And of course, Sir Eric, he put the icing on the cake. He took it to London and he made it happen for us. Although there was some resistance when it was happening, we know why the resistance was there. It is because some people felt that if he had all of the power that he was looking for, that there would be some abuse of that power on the island, and there was already a state of a state of disorder on the island at the time. So folks were a bit concerned about that. But as we look back and we reflect, we all are happy that he did for us what he did in acquiring independence for Grenada, and we celebrate unreservedly.
Yeah, I want to add something to what you just said there, because I've had Bernard Code here on this show, and we talk about the independence in detail many years ago. And he made mention about certain elements within the Gary ranks who gave him some information, because he was part of the committee that went to London for the independence. And Gary wanted to put certain element into the constitution where he get the kind of a state power that he wanted, that would be really, really abusive, like you mentioned, and control. And that information that was had was able to stop him from getting that into the constitution, right? It'd be like a Pinochet like type in Grenada if he had gotten his way. With all this information before he got to England, he'd have inserted that in the constitution and give him that ultimate kind of power. So that too have to be made mention of, because, like you said, it was the resistance wasn't that we didn't want the independence, but from the Graham point of view, what Gary wanted, to do was kind of curtailed. But the fact that we got independence, it was a joint effort. It was under his auspices as Prime Minister at the time that they got it. So again, it was not just him, but his father of the independence, the one who really was in power at the time, the one who fought vigorously also to get it too at the final leg, right? And normally it's not one person that won a relay, but the person who win come to the front, they glorify the person as the person that win the relay. And that in the case of Gary.
And well, Callis, while we're on this topic, let me just mention a couple of the names that we don't talk about enough, that we should also give credit to. Of course, I mentioned Julian Fedor, but William Galloway Donovan, that's a gentleman who had the newspaper.
Yes.
He was from St. David's, that Marichaud worked for, and later on Marichaud had his own paper, of course. But he was significant in his writings, his research and writings on encouraging, seeking independence, true independence for Grenada. Also, Henrietta Millicent Douglas. She was someone that many people don't give credit to. She was very, very, very eloquent, very much an activist who fought for and pushed for respect of the Grenadian people from the crown, from England, from Great Britain. Of course, T.A. Marichaud, he played a significant role. And like I said, there are many others. Even Hubert Blaze deserves some credit for that. He was our first premier. While we had associated statehood, he was a part of that process. And there are others that we have to give credit to. Wellington Friday and others who were involved in politics during that period, who stood up for Grenada and respect for Grenada from the United Kingdom. Not everyone wanted it, but the majority of us wanted it. And of course, after Gary got it for us in 74, the revolution came in 79 and cemented that, cemented the spirit of independence in terms of building your own, being proud of your own, cultivating and developing your culture, knowing your history, connecting with those you have ancestral links with. For example, the relationship between Grenada and Africa was cemented during that period, became much stronger than ever before. African leaders were visiting Grenada. There was more communication, and I'm happy to see that now the whole of CARICOM, led by Grenada and Barbados, are connecting with Africa and looking to have deeper trade. Just recently, I represented the CARICOM community, the Caribbean community, at a special summit, business summit that was held in Brampton, that was hosted by the AU, the African Union, the sixth region. And it was all about how we can increase trade between the Caribbean and Africa. And all of that is about independence, because our former colonial masters need not tell us who to trade with and how to trade. We as a people can chart a course of development and do it in a way that is best for us. So I'm happy that we are continuing the legacy of freedom, fighting for freedom, true independence. And I'm happy that Sir Eric did what he did when he obtained independence for us, and that we are continuing today to build on that. One people, one journey, one future.
Let me just take an independence song here from Miss Zandel Jeffrey. Great independence song. Here it is. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to push over the Randy Isaac song here. It was sent to me here. But somehow I didn't get it to put in here. But we recognize that a lot of Calypsonians this year, CG, have given us some new songs. Kenny C, Kwaku, what's his name? Mr. Jeffrey, Randy Isaac, and we have others who are contributing lyrically to the celebration. Is there any plans in our activities, our gala event, that to have one of those Calypsonians present at the gala over here?
Well, John, we are looking at that prospect of having one of the performers. So two things that is a challenge to us. One was the cost of bringing up an artist at that time that from Grenada or even from New York. So what happened, because our Independence Gala is so close from the 7th to the 10th of Grenada, that poses a challenge to fly in and fly them back. But at the showcase, we will have independent singers of that nature. But also at the gala, we have the maestro himself, Eddie Bullen, will be performing there as well. But it is not out. We still are looking to see how we could have. In the past, we had several other entertainers that came in, and we're still looking at that possibility to have. But as for now, we don't have one. We don't have a cultural part to it.
Right.
But Callis, I would add,
Yes.
although we are not certain that we'll have any of them in person, besides Eddie Bullen, who's a standalone ambassador of our culture in so many ways, we certainly will be playing their music. So
Right.
all of the theme songs that you're hearing there, we will be playing it. Let me just say something about Eddie Bullen. That gentleman represented the Caribbean and Grenada so beautifully. Recently, there was a special the core of the consular core of association here in Toronto, comprised of over 100 nations represented, had its annual Christmas get together dinner, and the mayor was of the city of Toronto was give the feature keynote address, and she was the special guest. And Eddie before her and all the other dignitaries represented so well. He was the lone, his trio. He had an ensemble there with him, other musicians with him, two of them, and they performed so beautifully. The accolades, the commendations were at the highest level. Everyone was talking about Grenada, and it wasn't because the Grenada Consul General was there. It was because Eddie Bullen was there. And he is more than an ambassador. So I would like to really recognize Eddie Bullen for the quality of work that he does, and how the dignity with which he does it, and what he's doing for Grenada in the diaspora. I would like to recognize him for that, and all the other artists as well. But we're talking about him because he just recently did something special there.
Right. You know, a lot of times people do not give homage to people like that. We hear about them, but we're not really. We got a caller calling here. Let me take this call. Okay, caller. Good morning. Watson Judge, how you doing? Okay. Mm. 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 Right.
You can't tell me about Maurice Bishop for independence. Maurice Bishop was after independence.
Mm.
When before you read Exodus, Revelation or Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
Okay.
we got to get our things straight. Stop play politics and what I observe again too, we theorizing history with our intellectual capacity and ability, and we're going to brainwash our next generation. If we're going to deal with 50th anniversary, gold cannot come back. Gold can, but you have to have gold in the celebration. We cannot jump to Maurice Bishop or T.A. Maurice Show. T.A. Maurice Show was not grassroots. T.A. grassroots because he had love mulatto women.
And that disqualifies him? So what's your point?
To be the foundation of this independence celebration. Yes. So if we're gonna do it right. Don't play politics with it. Anyway, I'm going to Detroit.
All right. Okay.
Do it right.
Okay, Hudson. Okay, thank you very much for your call. Okay, one love, Hudson.
Yes.
So, I don't know who want to answer that first.
Well, CJ on mute.
Yeah, you listen, share what you have to share, then I'll respond as well.
Well, I tend to lean on the side of foundation as always, right? And I don't want to go to this to the aspect of the political realm, but I think we should have we could have included celebrations around the founding father of independence. You know, yes, we get there was other people that started it, but it happens under his tutelage. So I think we could have a special something to really stand out and say, okay, this is the guy, because America is built on an idea, but you have the founding fathers on Mount Rushmore, and they remind us of who brought them there, right? So I tend to agree with but I don't think it's more politics. I think it's just something. Everyone have a different idea of how we move the ball to the playing field, right? But it's how the ball get to the playing field, and I think sometimes we get lost in the political thing and says, oh, it's happened under this administration on that. But I don't think it's maybe how the framers of this year's celebration has envisioned it. I don't see anything wrong with it. But yeah, I said they could have included something along that line.
Okay. This first of all, I want to acknowledge the brother and wish him a happy new year. I know he's very vocal on a lot of issues, and he has made positive contributions over the years. And I also know him as an artist. I was just listening to one of his songs that he sang with somebody else. I think I'm referring to the right person. If I'm making a mistake here, then
okay.
you know, I apologize. But yeah. I think he's also a brother who has done some music. Is that so?
Yeah, Hudson
he sang with somebody else. Yes. So I want to salute the brother, but I want to respectfully disagree with his position. I think independence. We are celebrating 50 years of independence. We are not just celebrating February 4th, 1974. We are celebrating 50 years of independence. So we have to look at what we have accomplished since then as well. We are celebrating everything. What came before it, what to give us that day, and what we have done since then. 50 years, not one day. We're not just celebrating a day. We are celebrating 50 years of independence. We have to understand it through those lenses. So so Eric Gary is at the top. We respect him there as the one who really spearheaded the fight, the struggle to make it happen during that period. No one is taking that away from Sir Eric Matthew Gary. No one is. No one is. So for anyone to try to reframe the discussion to make it seem as if he's been sidelined, they are not being intellectually honest. So Eric Matthew Gary is seen as the father of independence in terms of the role he played in giving us independence on the 7th of February, 1974. Right. Is independence all about him? No, it's not. The struggle started before him. The struggle continued after him, because we did not, what we got that day was the right to have a flag, to have our own prime minister, to have our own foreign policy. Essentially, were we entirely independent that day? Not at all. It's a process. The process continues and has continued for 50 years. So we celebrate what we have accomplished since then, as we approach February 7th, 2023. So it's inclusive. And inclusivity is what we always talk about, what we say we want, but sometimes for ideological reasons, we deny inclusivity by saying we should only credit one person. So Eric Matthew Gary, I see as the one who should give the most respect for that day because of the role he played to give it to us. But we are celebrating 50 years of independence. We're not simply celebrating Sir Eric Matthew Gary. We're not simply celebrating February 7th, 1974. We are one nation, one people, one journey, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, I want to echo that same sentiment with, in regards to that, because earlier on you made a statement that an indication, correct me if I'm wrong here, of a true independent nation was the Great Revolution doing that, right? Trying to be independent and to be able to economically develop itself, right? And you have a government at that time in 79 that had 44 state enterprises set up, right? To ensure that the Ghanaian people are benefiting from what they call an independent nation, right? And I want to make the point that you can't put Maurice Bishop in the mix. You can't put Maurice, I think that was very, dishonest. You can do that. As I just said, it's a process, and that process includes a number of people making significant contribution to our independence and where we come, how far we have came from when we started to this present juncture, right, of 50 years. So I think it's important, and I think some people put politics into it, like I said, to derail the process, to create a sort of a controversy, right, by highlighting certain people just to make sure that, okay, if this person's name wasn't mentioned, or you leave name because of politics. No, and I think it ought to make a mention in the chat about the left-wingers. It has nothing to do with left-winging. It's just us, everybody. I think sometimes people get all fuzzy up when they see certain people who was in the revolution taking part in activities of the present state of Grenada, right? So we cannot do that. We all Grenadians working hard for Grenada to become more independent. And if the right people
exactly
are in the right place at the right time, who have the better skill set, who have good skills, coordinating skills, let them do it. We can't play politics with it. And that's what this government now is doing, putting in people who know what to do, how to get it done. And
I encourage our sisters and brothers to pay attention to the theme. One people,
exactly.
One journey, one future. We really have to pay respect where it's due, and not just limit respect to a person or a day. It's a process, and it's 50 years.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So let me be a big shout out to some persons here. Yulin, Alexander, Hudson George, Doris, Maureen, Charles. Good morning and happy independence celebration as we continue to do that. And a happy new year to both of and all of you here. And those who are listening on the radio again, happy new year and welcome again to GEM FM. With me this morning is Mr. Jerry Hopkins, the Consul General of Toronto for Grenada, and Mr. Unison
Joseph, the president of the Grenada Association in Grenada, in Canada, and the Disaster Preparedness Organization in Toronto as well. So we have these two gentlemen here, and we're hoping that we cover a lot of grounds here this morning, and we want to talk about more about our activities. And persons, let me ask Mr. Unison, there are persons who want to contribute, who want to be part, to seeing, they have poetry, literary night, they have a book display. How would they, and who can they contact for that? We call it the literary night. So the literary night, we're looking for match. And if you have a book, again, my phone number is the same, 416-856-3663. Get in contact with the consulate, and we could we could get you involved in the process. And if you have, even though you don't have a book, but you want to read a poem, you're still, because the literary, not just the form of having books and written and stuff. We want to include it in it. So you could call and contact, and then we'll give you more information on it.
All right.
But,
go ahead.
John, you touched on it. I know yourself and the CG spoke about but not being fully independent in Grenada and such. I tend to have a different view on what independence means. Different things to everyone. And if you look at the great countries with economic viability and stability in this world, you could argue that they are not independent.
Exactly.
Because independent doesn't mean that you solely divided by one. It takes a collective to move anything forward. Look at the great United States. If we say that they're not, we could say not independent when they owe China millions, trillions of dollars they owe, and they, so what independence means to everyone is different. I think Grenada has come, and when we spoke of the context of Grenada and its independence, we have achieved in the Caribbean and worldwide a lot compared to our size, our population, just on the basis of our human resources. We have exported great minds around the Caribbean, whether it is economics, whether it is in music, whether it is art. So that means we are doing something. We are doing something which is great. And sometimes I think we, as you rightfully touch on, the political divide, the religious divide in our communities. But when we come together as a people, I think we achieve so much.
Yes.
So much that I don't think we give ourselves credit. Other people credit us with a lot of things, but we hard on ourselves. And I think this is a time for us to come together, put our differences aside, and let us celebrate. Let us envision what the framers of independence, what the struggles that happened before, how much people died before we get to independence, and how much further we could go if we all just come together and for a collective oneness. Our flag or anthem says, "For love of nation," right? And I think sometimes we get lost in that. So that's what I said on the independent part of it.
And I think one thing that often happens, right? I think when it all depends on the lens that you look into this thing at, right? And one could argue that, you guys making a political statement instead of economic one, our independent one. And people, when you mention certain people at certain levels, this person can make mention of that. For example, make a mention of Morris Bishop, independence become a political thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you shouldn't see it that way, because everybody have made a contribution into the 50 years. Mm-hmm. Everybody that come along until now has made a contribution. Whatever they have done something for Grenada, right? Mm-hmm. Look at our national heroes, our sport heroes, right? We look at where we came from to where Kiriani came to be, Mr. Peters, So all of those people have contributed to our independence one way or the other, make they shine a certain part of the shoes. Yes. You know what I mean? So yes. we have to give credit to all those people, and it's not political. We just highlight what contribution that person make along the way. It's a journey, and we're still walking that path. We haven't completed it, and we'll never complete it, because independence is not a destination. It's a journey that continues right across. So we have to continue the journey and hand it over to somebody else at the next level.
we have to keep forever going. And so people making political statement that it's a political, making political, we're not political. It's Grenada, for Grenadians at home and abroad. Ever conscious of God as one people, you know, making a contribution for Grenada and setting the standard, raising the bar. So other people will look at us and say, hey, look at what Grenada doing there. You know, we want to be part of that. A matter of fact, from 79 to 1983, the Caribbean countries was trying to mimic what happened in Grenada. So much so that the State Department in the United States said, we can't allow that to happen. You understand? This country is transforming the minds of the Western Caribbean people. We had to shut it down. You know what I mean? We can't afford that to happen. When it started happening in Jamaica, they said we'll make the economy scream in Jamaica. Because Grenada has set a trend that everybody's trying to follow and want to do. So we had a process, and the process is still continuing. So let's not make it political, but let us make it economical, social, and if any other level you want to bring it to get to on the road of independence. Because no country is really independent of each other. Like you rightly said, Mr. Henderson, everybody depends on somebody for something.
Oh, I want to agree with Unison with that statement that you just repeated. We live in an interdependent world, and is less about competition and more about collaboration if we want to be sustainable with the things that we do and the things that we have to accomplish, whether it be climate change, whether it be how we trade our products. We have to be more collaborative and less competitive if we are going to be sustainable in our development. But so that interdependence applies to across the board to all countries. However, when it comes to government, as a governmental issue, independence applies to having your own flag, having your own constitution, having your own prime minister. And in the case of Grenada, we are part of the Commonwealth, so the head of state is still the Queen. When we become a republic, that would no longer be so. However, Barbados did it, and others have done it. But having your governmental structure and system is entirely of a local nature, and you try to make it as indigenous as possible. So that's a governmental, which is a limited definition, but it has to your constitution, your leaders, your flag, and your foreign policy. You determine who you will have diplomatic relations with. Grenada became that on the 7th of February, 1974, governmentally independent, with a caveat on having a head of state who is based in London. However, beyond the governmental construct, the interdependence applies, development applies. Having sustainable development, developing your natural resources, developing your human resource, developing, improving quality of life for your people, you know, education, all of that adds to your independence, and is not of a governmental nature, but is of a people nature, of a human resource nature, of a natural resource nature, being sustainable and self-reliant, more self-reliant. So it's something that goes together. The interdependence goes with the independence, with the independence of government. So we have independence of government, but we need to move beyond that. And what we have been doing since February 7th, 1974 is moving beyond governmental independence. We have been moving towards true all-round independence in terms of developing our assets, developing our minds, developing our natural resources, adding value to the things that are Grenadian. So the cocoa before 1974, all we did was sell it raw. Now we're selling it as cocoa powder, we're selling it as chocolate. We have 7 brands or more. So that's independence. That's moving in the direction of independence beyond governmental independence. That's moving towards true all-around independence. So that is how I see it, through those lenses. And the folks who have come after Sir Eric have added to that. Every one of the prime ministers we've had since then has added in one way or another to our independence. Every single one. So we have to be truly inclusive and see it really as one people, one journey, one future.
I totally agree. You know, and I think sometimes we look to the binoculars from the short end instead of from the longer end. You know, and we see what we want to see and magnify what we want to magnify. You know, a lot of people do that.
but in the true aspect of who we are as Grenadians is for the overall development of Grenada. And I think our focus should remain on nation building and expanding our reach. And it comes to influencing others to become independent or to be more self-sufficient. I'm not just independent, but self-sufficient. Yeah? We probably use that terminology more often than independent, self-sufficient. And to feed yourself, educate your people to a level that they could start thinking and be more free to think and to be more constructive, more critical thinkers, and we could open the door to a more productive people than just people who just dependent and other people just tell them what they have to do. Then we could start thinking and doing things for ourselves. I think independence is a good thing, but also self-reliance, is even a greater thing to do. When you have your own banks, you control, you reproduce what from your natural resources into a finished product for yourself, and you will sell it outside of your country and even utilize it within your country is a great way of self-reliance. So I have no problem with that. Yes. Anything else that you want to, or any of you gentlemen want to let the Grenadian public know in Toronto and the diaspora, and invite those to come up?
One thing I would like to say is that it's a continuum. Independence is a continuum, and it continues in the diaspora. It continues in Canada when we engage Grenadians and friends of Grenada to invest in Grenada. Because we're making Grenada stronger, we're improving our productive sector, we're having more products we can export to do something about the problem of the imbalance of trade. We import too much, or import bill is too high. We have to eat more of what we grow, process more of what we grow, add value to more of what we grow, and export more of what we grow while we eat more of what we grow. And we have to encourage folks in the diaspora to see opportunities for investment where they can add to that. And when they do that, they make Grenada a more independent country. Yes. So everyone has a role to play, not just the leaders, not just the politicians, all of us here. So when people like Udison and the others in the GIPC committee take time out from their schedule to organize activities, to bring people together, to support Grenada, we are adding to our independence. We are contributing to our independence. It's a continuum. And we all have, and that's why I really love that theme, one people, one journey, one future, because we add to our independence in so many ways. Does that mean that we forget what Sir Eric Matugeri did on the 7th of February? At all not. As a matter of fact, we're building on what he did, and every time we add to it, we recognize him, because that's where it started. We're no longer a colony. We're no longer just an associated state, thanks to what he did. So we're not taking away, we are adding to. And we need to see it in those terms. We are not taking away, we are adding to. We are adding to what was done on February 7th by Sir Eric Matugeri. Each one of us who play a role in investing in Grenada, in having more products to export from Grenada, in furthering tourism and seeing Grenada as a destination. So I'm happy that we have brothers like Mr. Sekou Stroud here, who is in charge of sales for Grenada Tourism Authority, doing his part. But we all have to assist him. We all have to see ourselves as agents for Grenada. We all have to be telling our friends in our workplaces, telling our worshippers in our congregations, our friends who worship with us, telling our people in our schools that we attend. Let folks know on the street, in the train station, I am from Grenada, the most beautiful island in the Caribbean, and we have a lot to offer. If you're considering a vacation, go to Grenada. And I'm going to end with this. This senator from Nova Scotia communicated with our office at the consulate, just as a courtesy, to let us know that he's going to Grenada with his wife to have celebrate his 50th anniversary of marriage. But when we got the communication, I immediately did some research on him, and I realized that this gentleman has a wide array of experience as a mental health expert, psychiatrist, MD. He worked with PAHO for many years, the Pan American Health Organization. He's worked in 20 different countries. He has written over 400 articles on mental health, especially affecting adolescents, suicide, and all of that. All of the issues that are affecting us in Grenada now, he has worked in those areas. And I also found out later on when I spoke to him that he had been to Grenada twice, once before Ivan and once after Ivan. And this gentleman is going to Grenada now. And I also found out, well, I know from my North American geography in high school that Nova Scotia is all things fisheries. If there's anything happening in fisheries, it's happening in Nova Scotia. And so what did I do? I immediately made sure that we forge a relationship. And I made sure that Protocol in Grenada would be ready to meet him at the airport and give him a VIP welcome. I made sure that meetings were set up with the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Health, especially the Minister of Health. And I also wanted to make sure that the hotel that he's going to would know that, he's someone that should get special treatment. He, based on who he is and what he can do for Grenada. And you would be amazed. He's in Grenada right now. I'm not going to report on everything that has happened thus far, but I'll just tell you this much. It's happening. And later on, we will see the fruits of that. But we have to be proactive in that sense and you don't have to be a consul general to do that. What I just did here in terms of the engagement and calling home to make sure that we treat someone in a manner that would endear them and bring them closer to us so that we can extract more from the relationship is something we should all be doing. All of us. Whenever you meet someone with potential, someone who has connections, someone who has something to offer in the diaspora, think Grenada. Think of how this person can help you help Grenada. If we do that, the sky is the limit. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. I a statement here. Two statements I want to read out. I know persons in the live might see, but persons who listen on the radio. From Delbert Baptiste, who my co-host for today's show. But I just want to excuse him for a bit. I don't know why. But my brother, I still looking for to be on the show with me this morning. Being a member of Commonwealth has absolutely nothing to do with who your head of state is. Two completely separate things. The other thing is the single most important symbol of independence is to have your own head of state. Anything different is pseudo independence. So that's what's from Mr. Delbert Baptiste here, my co-host on the show in the morning. I want to take us. You want to say something to that?
CG, you popped
up. Actually, I would like to say something about that. The nations that were former colonies of the British Empire generally are the ones that became members of the Commonwealth. And generally the majority of them maintained the Queen as the head of state. But you have other categories. You have the ones that have become republics, such as Trinidad, such as Dominica, and others, and Barbados most recently. And that removed the Queen from being head of state. So generally the nations in the Commonwealth of Nations are nations that were all colonies of the British Empire, Great Britain, and moved on, became independent, but maintained having the Queen as head of state. And when you become a republic, the Queen is no longer your head of state. And there's another category that I will not get into now. So Grenada is still in that category where the Queen is the head of state. But I, like Delbert, would prefer to see, and many others too, that we have our own head of state. I don't know if people, there was an interview conducted by the BBC involving our Prime Minister, Honorable Dickon Mitchell, and he spoke about that. And he spoke of it as something that we are considering and should consider. But he also said that it need not be an arrangement where we have a president along with a prime minister, because in a way it's superfluous. Yeah. We don't have to just follow a paradigm because it's there. It's in some ways it's wasteful. Instead of, we have the Queen and we have to pay for the Governor General or everything that all the expenses of having a Governor General, when it's pretty much to rubber stamp things.
Right.
We have systems of government where the prime minister, with the checks and balances in place with the parliament, and you have the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive, and you have checks and balances in place, and you don't need a prime minister and a president, just as you don't need a prime minister and a governor general. So maybe in the future, our construct for a republic may not necessarily be one that has a prime minister and a president. But that is a different discussion down the
Yeah.
road. But I think it's the direction that we should move in. And I, like Delbert, would like to see us have our own head of state and not have the Queen as our head of state.
Well, one thing I would say before Delbert come on, he will play a song before Delbert come on, but Delbert is the one that will get the constitution and put in the garbage in the morning. I'm telling you that right now. let me take a song and come right back here.
As a young man, I love you. Many years I spent going places I don't know where. Every boy without any care. One night I spent about my world. To come to my island in the sun, full of spices and cool water, like silvery drops falling gently. I must go, I must go back, my little island is calling me. I saw the valley so wet and green. Children play, what a beauty. Some mom and dad, brothers. Peace alone, but I don't know. When I think of that love that still exists, then I knew I must return to my island in the sun, heavenly blessing. Like sunshine, smiling faces, oh so happy. This call. I sunshine, silver river, falling gently. I must go. I must stand. Till I let this call. Falling.
Say Michelle, but it's Michelle. And that will be a big UN. So I carried out a survey. And this is what the people say. I travel from my right to the state. One of them, I need to man. I travel from the come to you, yeah. This the man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution, the man is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution, the economy man. Take big competition for the upcoming election. Experience forces young blood. The people's voices must be heard. I never done come here. Let's come to the crowd here. It's one of them. I never volunteered. I got to the man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution, the economy man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution, the economy man. All over the diaspora, every man can be on fever. It's a forget what's safe for hands. The island needs transformation. And get cut from London, Montreal, Washington. It won't come together. The economy is in hand.
Yes. We back and we're beautiful Canadian people right here in Toronto. And Mr. Delbert Batty from Chantimela, Delbert have a theory that he worked in the United States but he live in Grenada. My brother and co-host this morning, I was wondering why you was on the platform outside when you should be inside.
Comrade, we were expecting snow, so I was busy this morning preparing for snow. I haven't seen snow in years. I haven't seen snow in years. So suddenly, when I'm in New Jersey, I saw it in Canada when I was up there last year and so forth. But we haven't had snow, so we're expecting a fairly decent sized snowstorm starting sometime this afternoon. So I had to do some prep, I had to go to the other property and do a little salting and make sure,
These are the preparedness to come and help you down there, Grenadian.
you know why I'm ready to bail on this place, I'm too old to be shoveling.
All right. So therefore, this morning,
good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Yeah.
Well, Happy New Year, Gilbert. Good
Happy
to see
New
you.
Year. How are you? How are you, Jerry?
Good morning, Sir Gilbert.
Yeah.
How is Toronto treating you?
Well, Fiat fine. I'm enjoying working with the folks. It's all about service, and I function. City, I bloom wherever I'm planted.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's the idea. Toronto is a beautiful city, man. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking independence, and Mr. Jerry Hopkins, Consul General, and Unison Joseph, and myself, we are part of the same committee, Independence Planning Committee, but these two men are in a more leadership role when it comes to the planning, the activities for Toronto as it relates to our independence. We're just discussing that, the activities and so on, what happening. And then Hudson just drop a little nugget in there that we kind of go into talking about here. And then you make mention of head of state and so on in your comment there. So I want us to look at independence as a holistic thing, not just a one-man person or one thing, but as a holistic Grenadian thing. Everybody on all hands on deck. And I think the CG has made some significant statement that will cement our other people, how we should build together and work together as one to achieve that oneness and building Grenada as Grenada should be built. Starting from the foundation.
No, listen, it's clearly that we have made progress. I'm not obviously everybody know my position on that. I'm opposed to the piece of paper that we have that we call a constitution. And I call it pseudo-independence because We don't have all in head of state. We don't have all people on the money. I remember looking at this clip when the Queen died, and there was about somebody had interviewed these 3 Black young women in London. And she said, well, they asked her, how do you feel about the Queen's death? And she said, well, I have 2 feelings. She's the Queen, she's my head of state, and she's a person, and she died, so I feel for that. But she said, on the other hand, she never did anything for me, so I don't really care the fact that she is dead, you know? Just like how the Scottish people was singing at a football game when she died, Lizzie in a box, you know? So my thing is that I disagree with you guys that every prime minister have contributed to independence. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. The data does not support that. But we have come a long way and we have made progress, and hopefully the next 50 years is going to bring even greater enlightenment and greater development. But the reality is that, and I think that was stated before on the panel, is that no country is really independent. You know, you can't. You know, this morning I went to the fruit stand and everything I bought came out of either Chile or Ecuador or one of the South American countries. You know, if they dried up and stopped producing, you know, I'll be hungry. My avocado, which I try to eat an avocado a day, came out of Mexico. So no country is really independent. And I agree with Jerry. What has to be our mantra moving forward, and especially within the cadre of Caribbean nations, including our French, Dutch, Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters, is for greater collaboration instead of finding ways where we competing over the same thing, you know. So I've long called for centers of excellence in the Caribbean. There's some things that we do in Grenada that we do it better than anybody else. There are things that Trinidad do better than anybody else. There are things that Jamaica do, Guyana, Belize, you know, Aruba, everyone. So that region has to see itself. And Maurice spoke to that, you know, 40 plus years ago. He said they divided us, taught us English and told us we were the best, taught us Dutch and told us we were superior, taught us this, and we kept fighting each other. So it's collaboration. Jerry's absolutely nailed that, you know. That's the way moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree here.
And
Go ahead, Jerry.
Callis,
Go ahead.
I want to react to something Comrade Delbert just shared there. And I said, sir, early on, I was hoping to get a reaction because of his disassociation with everything Crown and Royal, but he didn't. But anyway, I know he would prefer Comrade. I would prefer that too.
Of course.
I want to qualify a statement I made earlier in reaction to what you just said, with respect to former leaders having contributed. I want to qualify my statement a bit. I do believe that every leader made some form of contribution along the way, but not everyone only contributed towards development. Some actually took us backwards with certain things that they did. But so I think everyone contributed in a positive way, in different ways. And there are also instances over the last 50 years where certain leaders didn't do what took us forward, but stagnated things, and in some ways took us a couple steps backwards. So I qualify my earlier statement. Yes, they all contributed, but not all contributed in everything they did.
Some negatively.
Yes. And but then again, that is the human condition. No one is perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one is perfect. Mistakes will be made. But our focus as a people in this moment should be on doing more to move the needle forward, to move things forward, to collaborate more, and to share ideas, share technology, share best practices. And that is operating. share best practices, as Delbert put it, in terms of centers of excellence. But what makes a center of excellence is adopting and implementing best practices. So we need to make that part of a culture, and collaborate with each other to move Grenada forward as one people on one journey. And the thing about languages, I'm happy Delbert brought that. That's one of my favorite lines of Maurice Bishop's past speeches, where he spoke about how they brought all these languages to us. We learn these languages, and then use it to divide ourselves. When in fact we have so much more in common from our past and from our common problems and the future that we all need in common. So we need to transcend those differences that were placed on us, imposed on us, and look within ourselves to our inner strengths or inner commonalities, and on our inner or common objectives. Focus on that, collaborate on that, and make good things happen.
I mean, there are parts of Martinique that if you go there, you would think you're in Grenada, both in terms of the topography, what they eat, what they grow, how people live. I mean, you seriously, you would think you were somewhere in Montrose or in Hermitage or somewhere, you know. So we have so much in common, and that has to be, and I think when the new prime minister was elected, I said that I want to see. Obviously, listen, he got elected and has a huge, heavy lift to manage the affairs of Grenada, but for him to truly move into that realm of greatness, he has to be part of that new leadership that redefines what CARICOM means to our people and what regional integration and unity really means. If he can begin to speak to that once, you know, the Grenada economy starts to expand and grow and so forth, you know, that has to be, because I really believe that he's going to emerge as one of the leading spokesmen in the Caribbean in the next decade or so, because I think we will lose Mia Mottley in Barbados. I think we will lose her. I think she's headed for the UN. You know, that just a prediction.
Yeah, but Delbert, let me also react to what you just said and say that I think he's doing exactly what you just said you wanted to see him do. I think he's playing a lead role, and he's been respected and recognized for that. And he speak of, for example, a Caribbean civilization. He has actually created a vocabulary that others are adopting, and he's very much at the center of things, paying attention, making sure that we are represented and we are heard on issues, and moving things forward as CARICOM. CARICOM recently has really been impressing me. CARICOM is getting really beginning to function as the regional grouping that it, you know, body that it should. For example, Grenada showed that we believe in CARICOM. For example, that roundabout that we had an unveiling ceremony and spoke to the importance of CARICOM. That was significant, and it shows where the head of our prime minister or leadership is as far as CARICOM is concerned. So we are really celebrating CARICOM at 50 as much as we are celebrating Grenada at turning 50. And so good things are happening.
We have to do more. We have to do more, and more can be done. And we don't need commissions and all these things. For example, why aren't we renaming our schools after the local people? Palmer School, Mr. Francis, Mr. Rayburn, Mr. Warwood, Mr. Reason, Mr. Williams in Waltham. Why aren't we renaming our schools? I don't know who St. Mary is, and they're not important to us. And more importantly, why we have these so-called religious schools. These religious institutions have not put any money into the schools in decades, but yet still they have control over school boards and so forth. And government, my tax money is paid to do it. No, I don't want my tax money involved. And you're speaking to somebody who went to a religious high school, right? So we got to get out of these things. We have Mr. McBarnett. There's so many distinguished educators. okay, who were responsible for our generation. Okay, and we never gave them the credit for it. We still have St. Joseph Convent and St. this and St. that, and now let's do something and begin to tell our story, because right now we still live in the history of somebody who colonized us, right? Who brutalized us, who told us that we were less than human. So I have problems with this. I have problems with this.
In essence, our way forward or march forward to probably again to independence or to separate from the Queen and monarchy is part of changing up the names of some of the streets that we have.
We tell our own story.
So when persons grow up, they will know that street was like, you know.
Sendell was one, when you study history, Sendell was one of the most brutal and barbaric governors in the region. Why do we still have a tunnel named after him?
Right. But I think that had to come with education too, right? For years, people grew up and people never knew who Sendell was. We go up and we hear Sendell tunnel, and nobody never investigate who he is. You know, who is that person, what they contribution have they made to Grenada. So it looked like recently in Toronto, for example, Dundas Street have been changed, right? Because they're gonna Dundas was a slave owner who exploited Black people to the max, right? So see, young and Dundas is no longer young and Dundas, right?
Yeah, we have to push back against it. So like now, you would never see me quoting Mahatma Gandhi. He was a racist, okay? You will never see me quoting Winston Churchill. He is no different from Hitler, right? No different. He killed almost 5 million Indians, okay? But the world regards him as this leader. How different was he from Hitler? Hitler is accused of killing 6 million. How different?
Great.
We have to rethink these guys in it, you know. Thomas Edison, all of them, we have to rethink them, and so we have to write our own history. Let's tell the great story about Wellington Friday, and I mean, there are just so many distinguished Grenadians that we have to. Yesterday we lost somebody who I idolized growing up, Clyde Belfont. Who was a linguist, band member, song that famous Natty Dread in a PRA with Magnificency. That was him. One of the brilliant minds of his time when it comes to languages, and you know, he has a book that he wrote, I don't know, maybe about 2-3 decades ago, on the culture and the of Chantemelle and what it's all about. I mean, so we have to tell the stories. And here you have one of Chantemelle's favorite son, who grew up to be one of the premier linguists in the Caribbean, writing a book, but his book is not even taught in Chantemelle school. Right. We're failing the generations.
I think what we have to do, 50 and beyond, we have to have people looking into all those stuff, a committee to look into all this stuff and put in perspective and kind of create the discussion.
Carlos, if I may say, let's not lose sight of the fact that we have a current administration in Grenada that has only been in office for less than 2 years. And many of the things that Delbert just identified, issues, are being addressed as we speak and are being considered as we speak in culture and in education, etc. And some have there's changes. There are changes that have been done to correct that problem already. For example, making our history more part of our curriculum and other things, topics that we need to be discussing have been brought there, and the recognition that things we need to recognize are being recognized. So it's a process like everything else. And I'm certain that the whole idea, I am very much in agreement with Delbert when it comes to renaming streets. And I know I'm not the only one. And I know the leaders of the government of Grenada, the majority of them, and I may say all of them, would be very much in agreement with that we need to, rename streets that recognize our heroes. And that is why, for example, we're thinking of having a day when we celebrate our national heroes. So it's moving in the same direction. It's part of the same solution to a problem that we have to address. So things have been done, and I'm sure in due course we'll see more of that Delbert is talking about. What I would not go all the way though with Delbert when he talks about changing schools, for example, St. Joseph's Convent. Now, listen, we have to be pragmatic and we have to be realistic. If I create something and I give it a name, I don't expect Delbert or anyone else 20, 50, 100 years later to come and say, oh, I didn't like this guy, so let's change the name of what he named. It's St. Joseph Convent, when they started that school, it was to educate Grenadians. Sadly, back then, it was mostly well-to-do Grenadians who got educated there. But over time, that changed, and others who had very little were also being educated there. And it is still something that's a product of the Cluny Order of Sisters, and that's why they call it St. Joseph's Convent. I don't think anyone has the right or the audacity to say we're going to change the name of that school. I think that's going too far.
Then Jerry, they should not get government.
However, no, let me finish, brother. However, there are institutions, buildings, and streets that the government has control over, that the government created, and governments of the past named, that the government of the day can rename. And so I'm all for renaming streets that are named after thugs and hooligans and plunderers and rapists. I'm all for that. I'm all for renaming things that show no respect for our heritage and our history and who we are as a people. But I'm not for renaming things that are neutral in the sense that they were done by people who meant well and wanted to make a difference during their time, although they may not be Black or they may not be of Black origin. That is not a basis for me to change the name. If it served a purpose for its time and it was inherently a good one, I don't think I have the right to change the name of it. So that's where I stand on that.
First, these schools were not created to educate people. They were created to indoctrinate people in their religion. That's the basis of the formation of the schools. And fine, I'm not opposed to St. Joseph Convent or Anglican High School or any one of the other religious schools, but my tax money should not be funding them. What if I'm Muslim? What if I'm Jewish? What if I'm Hindu or whatever, and I don't support Catholicism or Episcopalian? Why should my tax money be going to fund a school that promotes a religion that I don't believe in?
But you're opening up a Pandora's box there, because if you do it in reverse, if the Christians were to say, we don't want a Muslim going to our school. This is not inclusion. You're talking exclusion, because the fact is that the majority of people in Grenada are Christian, and Muslims benefit from taxpayers' money who are Christian. Should we say, oh, we're not going to help a Muslim because we are mostly Christian and we are contributing to the coffers of the nation and we don't want Muslims to benefit? No, I don't think that's a way to go. We don't want to go down that road.
Jerry, that was not my point, and you have to let me finish just like how I allowed you to finish. Give me that same courtesy. That was not my point about whether or not we move forward together in a secular society. That was not my point. My point is that we have to rename our institutions, and we can't be timid about it, because some of the same people who created some of the institutions were part of the power structure that exploited our foreparents. The same ones that the streets were named after were the same ones who were involved in the creation of those institutions. You cannot separate it. You cannot separate it. You cannot pacify the evils and the murderous rampage that was colonialism. There is no halfway to that. They have to go. They have to go. We have to rename our institutions. We have to build a nation that's a reflection of who we are, not who somebody told us we were 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago. And so, I might be on the fringe on this, right? I recognize that. But Why shouldn't we be honoring our people? Why shouldn't we be honoring our people? Years ago, more than 4 decades, more than 5 decades ago, the churches stopped funding or putting any money into education in Grenada. And some of the schools that were actually built as government schools were just named Catholic and Anglican schools because of the power of the church in those days. For my school in my village, built in 1957, before I was born, but the older people in the village know the history of it, built together with the River Sally Government School. But because Shantimel was a very deeply Catholic village, the church had the power to name the school Shantimel RC School. While it was built by the government of Grenada, the church had absolutely nothing to do with it. We have to correct those history. We have to. There's no way to get around that.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not in a position to dispute what you said, but it would be good to know more about that. But folks, sisters, brothers, listeners, Mr. Callis, I would have to soon take my leave. So
we have about 10
if you
minutes.
want me to wrap up here, I'll do so.
Yeah, actually, in closing, because we're supposed to go until 12, and we started at 12:30, so 15 minutes before we finish. So we were on the table here, and CG, we'll start with you to give a final closing remarks and any updates or reminders that you'd like to share with the Grenadian public in Toronto and friends of Grenada in Toronto. We'd like you to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, well, first, I would like to thank you, Mr. Callis, GMFM, and your entire team for having me and the rest of us here this morning. And I would like to wish you a happy new year and all of your viewers and listeners a happy new year, a healthy and productive one as well. And also wish everyone happy independence as we proceed as one people on one journey towards one future. I encourage you, all of you, to participate, be involved in the activities of the anniversary, the activities here in Toronto and in the rest of Canada. In Toronto, of course, we have the church service on the 4th, and then on the 7th we have the flag raising ceremony and reception, and then on the 10th we have the gala, and then on the 18th we have the Showcase Grenada. Also on the 7th, as on Unison pointed out, we have as a breaking news item, we have the lighting of the Niagara Falls, and we're going to have a bus ride, and we're going to be circulating details on that as we go forward. Folks, I would like all to be engaged. Every Grenadian in the diaspora in Canada, not just in Toronto, but Toronto and beyond, to engage with the consulate. We are here offering all of the regular services, passport processing, renewals, naturalizations, authentication of documents. Your friends who require a visa to Grenada, they can apply for it through us as well. All of that we can do for you. And in addition to that, we want to engage to encourage Grenadians and show Grenadians how they can invest in Grenada's economy and to increase exports so that we can see more of our products on the shelves of stores, outlets, retailers here in Canada. Especially, if there's anyone out there listening, consider having a warehouse. Consider having a product distribution company. We need to warehouse our products from Grenada so that they can be here readily. When they are being exported, they can be readily, properly stored and distributed to the known locations that retail Caribbean products. The Jamaicans are doing it, the Guyanese are doing it, the Trinidadians are doing it. We in Grenada can do it too on a large scale, but we have to put the infrastructure in place. So I'm encouraging Grenadians to consider getting into the warehousing business, do the surveys, do the studies, do the research, prepare yourselves for that, and also someone or two to do the distribution. But all of that I'm saying because at the consulate, we're not just about consular services. We're also about trade. We're also about pushing for investment, increasing exportation of Grenadian products, and getting our people involved in investing in Grenada. And we have offices such as GIDC ready to help. Call us, give us a call, 416-595-1343, or give me a call on my cell, 647-594-7210. Again, 647-594-7210. We all have a part to play. We all have a role to play. Let's make it happen for the good of Grenada.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Unison, Joseph? Yeah, thank you, thank you. Before I close, I want to quote by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday says, every negative situation has a positive inclination to it. So sometimes I think we look at things sometimes through isolation, right? So not every situation that's negative we don't learn from. Once you learn from something, you actually gain it. So I just want that to keep in mind. Sometimes we, for instance, when Delbert mentioned about the Queen, I'm not a fan of the monarchy, but when you say the Queen haven't done nothing, I don't think it's totally true, because you create Commonwealth and you create an avenue for trade. You agree for us to do several things through in the Commonwealth. So there's a good positive that comes. We might not agree on the totality, but there's certain things that is positive come out of it. But in going back to our independence celebration, as Jerry, Mr. Hopkins says, the illumination of the fall is going to be is the first time Grenada has illuminated the color, the falls in our color, and which is significant because when you look at Grenada, we have so much body of water, and that is tying in where we live, and our home brand, Grenada freshwater waterfalls, the Seven Sister Falls, Concord Waterfalls, Annandale Falls, the different rivers. You see the tying in. So although we move away from Grenada, we still maintain that core principle of Grenada and Grenada heritage. So we encourage everyone. A price of our Orla kitchen breakfast brunch, $25. You could get there. Sit down, relax, let the bus take you there, and let's make an event out of it. Let's make a spectacle. You know, other countries had 5 persons representing them. We know Grenadians, when we come out, the further we move away from home, it's a closer our heart. And we will show the world, you know, how Grenadians do it, right? Then we have the gala, February 10th. That is also going to showcase our splendor. The ladies come out with their nice, lovely flowing dresses, colors. The men, I see John, and I know Delbert will make the trip this time to come up in his tuxedo. You know, don't bring the pink one. You know, don't bring the pink tuxedo. We serve that one for you.
Hey, you know,
Delbert might actually have an African suit.
Yes. So, and then at that event, also, we're going to have a special treat at midnight. I'm not going to give it away, but it really ties in at the gala, our Grenadian heritage. At midnight, we'll have a special Grenadian treat. So we're looking forward to having you at the gala. The price is $125. And of course, you could contact myself for tickets, 416-856-3663, or the consulate, or contact John. He could do it most on our Facebook pages. There is a flyer and everything there. And then we have, of course, we had the flag raising ceremony on the 7th, or Independence Day, that will showcase. And then we have Showcase Grenada, February 18th at the GCA, 995 R Road. This is where we congregate, and we really have the big drum dancing. We have the children's face painting. We had a little bit of poem, a little bit of jokes, fun, you know. Let's show Grenadians, you know, how we socialize without any violence or nothing. When we socialize, there's just old talk, you know. So that is something that we encouraging people to come out and really let us celebrate 550. Many of us here wouldn't be there for the other 550. We like to be, but you know.
I'm planning for it, my brother. I'm planning on being there.
So that is something. Let us go and really come out and support in each other. And if you have any events that you're planning, that we could look under the greater independence celebrations, not just in Toronto, but in Canada as a whole, and we could try to incorporate, because this year is 1 year. We're celebrating the 50 for 1 year. So we try to
Mm.
incorporate everything. Let us get together. Let us make it an event. Thank you.
All right, very good, very good. I'm looking forward to the event as well. Gem FM, we're looking forward to it. We was there last year. It was nice, and that's my first time in 30 years. I've been to one. Last year, when I just came to Canada, I went to one, and then I never went back to another until last year, and it was good. So looking forward to this year's, and being part of the committee and everything that I want to be part of it. Delbert Batiste. And we normally do our shows on a Saturday morning, Caribbean Connections, where we interview book writers, authors, and other people making significant contribution in Canada or in Grenada. And the night show, we talk about politics and so on. Tonight, I want you to come back with me tonight because a lot of things happening there recently in the political arena, and I hope I get my other team members to be back here tonight to do this. Discuss this present political state in Grenada, what's going on back there, and some of the things that are happening in the Middle East. How we touch on that a bit and how it affects our Caribbean and North American in terms of even we look at the president of the university that just resigned, and she just made some significant statement towards that.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
A big deal. So that's another we're going to kind of touch on tonight. I don't know if Mr. Unison and Mr. Hopkins can join us back tonight at 8 o'clock to continue a deeper discussion, because I love to have those kind of conversations where we engage in having heated conversation and about agreeing to disagree on certain things that make our people understand that we can have conversation without confrontation. Yes? So tonight, I invite you gentlemen back with us at 8 o'clock, right back here on Gem FM. All right, Delbert Batiste. And don't forget, guys, after we show, all roads lead to Ola's kitchen for the oil long today. Okay. You're looking to see all the oil long table.
Well, so Kelly's, Master Kelly's, I have to check my schedule for this evening, so I can't respond at this moment regarding tonight. However, I have a window of time. So this afternoon I have a little time, so I will try to partake of the oil dung at Ola's place.
They're about missing you.
And remember, when we talk oil dung, we're talking about an amalgamation of colors. Every color is in that pot. You have yellow, you have green, you have everything is in there.
We're from an oil dung nation, yes? We're from an oil dung nation.
Exactly. I love that song by if you have it, you should play it some point by Beast. Beast has a wonderful song on that.
I have it here.
Take care, guys.
Yes.
Unison.
All right, man. Good seeing you, Jerry. All the best up in Toronto.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Delbert, anything you want to say in closing?
So I have not. This is my 6th year of celebrating independence. I didn't celebrate it when we became independent. I actually didn't celebrate it until 1980 through 1983, and then last year I celebrated it again because I think for the first time in my lifetime since the collapse of the revolution, we have a government that's speaking to the issues directly to the people. So I'm engaged in that, and I'm celebrating again this year. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to do it in Toronto. I've been in Grenada from the middle of January until the middle of February. So I'm taking in the festivities of the home front. But like Unison said, we have to have that broader conversation. And I like the idea that this is not just a 1 year celebration, a 1 day or a 1 week celebration, but that the entire year moving forward would be part of our celebration and changes and conversation about what do we do? What do we do? What kind of nation do we want? Because yes, we have made progress, but in many ways we have also stagnated for many, many decades. And we can't, there is no time for tinkering around the edges anymore. We have to make bold decisions and make bold changes. Why aren't students in throughout the primary school system in the greater reading Hudson George poem and Wendell DeRiggs and Garvin Stout and all the other great poets that we have? Why aren't they reading them? Why aren't they reading them? Guys, we can't accept this thing anymore. We cannot accept these things anymore. We have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. That's the only way to do it. There's no playing around. And I'm sorry, what you call trade by the Commonwealth was not trade. It was the exploitation of our natural resources. They stole that thing from us. They stole our nutmeg. They stole our cocoa. They stole our banana. And meanwhile, the people who were toiling in those fields died in poverty, without healthcare, without education, no, I can't accept that. I can't accept that. The Queen didn't do anything for Grenada. Absolutely nothing.
All
There
right.
are no benefits. What did Grenada benefit from? We didn't. Let's rewrite our history and tell the correct story. We can't be afraid to call these people out for the atrocities of that, and she's not excusable, right? The Mau Mau uprising in Kenya happened under her watch. Why is she still on my money? Why is she still on my money?
The money.
Why we don't see people like William Demas or famed economist Alistair McIntyre or Gary or Dollar or no, we gotta get those things gotta go.
Once you become a republic, you could do all of that. Yes?
Well, we should have been that a long time ago.
I think the Caribbean, the EC dollar should reflect such. Yeah, but that's not for another conversation again. Mr. Hopkins.
And there are those who lie and tell you, no, wait, there are those who lie and tell you that if you change who is on the money, the value would drop. That's not true, because the EC currency has been pegged to the US dollar for decades. So it's not going anywhere. It has nothing to do with whose picture is on the money.
I might to get a land to another dollar in the future. But that's a different conversation. I don't want to play this song before we go. I think, yeah, this one. Let's pull it up.
Yeah, you know who it is. It's going to be an African of Indian Luca. I'm the bunny.
That's the man, Mr. Raymond Matthews. All Long Nation.
The audio is not good, John.
Oh, what happened? Okay.
You were St. David's man, right? So where is
No, my friend. I'm from the Republic of Guelph.
Guelph. you see how he quick to claim he's adopted. Hey, I love Guelph. I went to high school in Guelph. That place is unbelievable, man. That place is unbelievable. It has a character all its own.
That's why, that saying, but it really captures, with all its stigma and identity, we in Guelph seem to produce a lot of the leaders, whether it is in sports, law enforcement, governor generals, something in the water.
No, Guelph is it's the Grenadian engine, basically. It's the engine that drives Grenada,
Yeah, I'm closer to I'm closer to you. Raphael, Paul, and all those guys have Am I, am I?
So what about you who ready, who don't like it, who don't like it, who can't get us from so Let me play by the children times. One button for I don't want to fight and
So is everything there about
I'm doing good, man.
good? You should take a trip after maybe you could come to our late night in we're
Yeah,
looking for it in March.
I'm gonna be in Toronto a few times this year. No question about it.
All right, good.
Just the early part, I had this trip plan. I know I wanted to be in Grenada for independence, and then I have some other family commitments that I have to take care of while I'm down there. But hopefully by the time I get back, I'll be able to make a trip up north. I'll let you guys know when I'm coming.
All right, cool.
All right, so that is it, folks. We come to the end of this session today, where we deal with, I'm hoping that tonight we come back here, 8 o'clock, thereabouts, and others to continue that conversation tonight. Again, I want to thank Mr. Hopkins for taking time off his busy schedule today to be here. Also, Mr. Unison Joseph, we thank you so much for giving up your time again to be here. And Delbert Baptiste, who always here with me on Saturday morning. I hope that you don't get no snow in tonight. If you have a call down the disaster preparedness.
No, I think we expected that. No, when you get 2 inches of snow in New York, New Jersey, the whole place shuts down. You guys up north deal with snow like it's nobody's business, but I think we're expecting almost 8 inches, so it's going to be a little bit on the
all right.
On the heavy
side. To all our listeners that listening this morning, like Doris Moraine and Miss Joseph and all the other ladies here this morning. Thank you guys, Julian Alexander, and all the regular listeners to our program and those who just joined us for the very first time. We want to thank you so much for being here with us. Please love, like, and share the GemFM at www.gemfm.ca for more information. See events coming up on the GemFM page.ca on Facebook, or on the John Kelly's page on Facebook for activities surrounding the 50th anniversary of our independence. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. It has been a pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege to be here.
All right. I'll see you tonight, man.
All right.
All right, Unison. All the best for 2024, my brother. All the best.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Good day, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Big up.
All you lovely people in Britain, drinking rum and the book on us. There is something in your life that no one can understand. There is something in your health, or is it your mind astray? You have something that takes my heart away. And it's coming out, Infinite sunny climb. It's forever summertime. If you want to love the beach, it's always within your reach. You have something that makes a man again. Any coming back, be back. We are ready to go on. Antigua, Dominica, Grenada, San Vincent, Jamaica, St. Lucia, St. Kitts. In this lovely paradise, you can watch the sunrise any evening, any day. You can have a sunset play. You can enjoy your forever and a day. Yeah. I find a flavor. We did I need a we did I need a Mami oh mama, I tell flavor from the canna. Mami oh mama, flavors of mineral wonder. I tell flavor. I and spices. Garlic oil and vegan pesto. I telling you that's the way to go. Hot pot on the green with seasoning. Flavor that will have your body. Strictly organic, so it healthy. That will make you food so tasty. Vitamin D, calcium on island. Number one seasoning on the island. 5-star flavor. Please contact us at 347-697-4020. Leader doing, leader doing, leader doing.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's where I get to kick the chair to the rear and get out of here. So see you guys tonight at 8 o'clock right here on GMFM. Pleasant afternoon. Don't forget to check us out at 477 Oakwood Avenue at Oda's Kitchen. Get your oil down, get your soup, get your chicken, get everything at Oda's Kitchen. All right, God bless you. Have a wonderful afternoon, folks. Have a wonderful day and celebrate like you never did before. 50 years of independence under the direction of and leadership of Sir Eric Matthew Gary right here on GMFM. Doing it nice. African Teller, I'm out, folks.
I'm sorry I have to go. I do.